Chat Cave with Mike and Max.
Hey, welcome back to the Chat Cave here on McGTV, youtube.com/MikeMcGTV. It's been forever, and guess who's back? It's Max.
Yes, finally hunkered down in the Chat Cave. We've got all the toilet paper down here. We're ready to go.
Oh my God. It's like, yeah, you and I go silent on Batman talk for quite a few months, and it's a pandemic that brings us back together.
You know, only a global pandemic.
But isn't that in the spirit of Batman, honestly, that, you know, it takes the worst possible scenario to get your mind going?
We're not the podcast you want. We're the podcast you deserve.
So I'm sure all of you out there are kind of living your own personal no man's land, you know, with regards to TP and hand sanitizer and all that good stuff. Max and I are back here to talk Batman with you, to talk the latest in maybe Batman news really quick. Max, I don't know if you know this, but we lost someone pretty important apparently a couple of months ago or a while back. We lost the great Alfred Pennyworth in the comics.
Oh yeah, no, it's okay. I didn't know this. You did give me a warning that we're going to talk about this, so I could adequately prepare emotionally. Yeah, it's Alfred's old, you know, so.
Well, it wasn't that from what I'm reading, that's not why he died. I haven't read the recent City of Bane storyline, the one that started like basically with Catwoman and Batman calling off their engagement and Batman like self-isolating.
She dumped me.
Yep, exactly. But have you been
great.
following any? Have you been following any of Batman comics in the past couple months at all? Or?
No.
Yeah.
I wait to hear. So like now I heard Alfred's dead. I might read the comics just to see like what's up. I usually wait on storylines just to hear because I can't do month to month because like like a 15-page comic book just does not do it for me. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I need more. So yeah, I have not been keeping up, but I definitely will now that I just to, give Alfred some respect. But they've killed him before.
Yeah, they have. This is from what I'm reading. I mean, from what I've heard, do you want spoilers a little bit?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Hit me with
okay.
It.
Well, from what I've read, like I said, I haven't been following this storyline really. I knew that Batman and Catwoman were like engaged at a certain point, and that she called off the wedding. But apparently, she called off the wedding because Bane threatened her to do that. And apparently, this goes a little bit further because this whole City of Bane or whatever it's called story arc has been going on for a while now. It's been getting grander and grander. Like Batman and company apparently got kicked out of Gotham by Bane and a coalition of supervillains who were working with the Flashpoint Batman, with Bruce's dad.
Oh, okay. Thomas Wayne Batman?
Yep. Apparently he made it over to the mainstream universe and was helping Bane kind of manipulate things because I guess what I'm reading into it is that this Thomas Wayne Batman is like, I want Bruce to be happy, and he's not going to be happy if he's Batman, so I have to find a way to keep him from being Batman. And so his goal was to make him more miserable, I guess.
Right.
But apparently there was this whole thing where like Bane and Thomas Wayne had Alfred like I said, I don't know the full story, but apparently they had him like sequestered away in Wayne Manor, basically threatened Batman and family to not come back to Gotham, otherwise they'd kill Alfred. And Batman, meanwhile, I think thought that Alfred was safe for some reason. Again, I don't know, but leave it to Damian to ruin everything, because Damian was like, "Bull, I'm going back to Gotham." Gets captured, and Bane snaps Alfred's neck in front of him.
Nice. That's brutal.
This issue I did read, the follow-up. Batman was at one point like knocked out or something. He wakes up in Wayne Manor, sitting across from the dinner table with Alfred's limp body sitting across from him.
Oh man.
and it is kind of
That
sad.
is brutal.
It is very sad. Yeah.
That is brutal.
But apparently Alfred was also prepared too, because he left like a recording in the event of my death for Bruce
Right.
to hear, which is, I just want to see you smile again. And the only time I've seen you smile in recent memory was when, you were falling in love with Catwoman. He's like, I hope that if anything, my death just inspires you to keep pursuing to find that happiness. I don't want you to be vengeful because of me, or something to that regard.
Yeah, fat chance of that.
Yeah. So it's sad, I guess. I mean, what I'm going to try to do at some point is maybe start off the whole Tom King run from Rebirth. Because I was following it for like 3 issues, and then I kind of just lost track of it.
At some point, monthlies, man.
Yeah, it's so difficult just to keep up with the monthlies. And then when there's tie-overs into other comic book runs, I'm like, who has time for that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you have any sort of life, if you don't have, you're not devoting every penny you have to reading every comic book, you're not going to keep up. That's just it.
So rest in peace, comic book Alfred. I'm sure he'll be back at some point.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to Lazarus pit him for sure. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, he'll be back at some point. It depends on how long, because, sometimes characters, maybe they do stay dead. Like mainstream Gwen Stacy, Uncle Ben, to my knowledge, they've all kind of remained dead.
I mean, Uncle Ben is still dead, though, right? Like, I mean, Gwen Stacy has come back, even though she's alternate universe Gwen Stacy, but whatever. She's back.
I think
Uncle Ben is still dead, right? Like, there's never a return of Uncle Ben.
But that's the thing, is that people keep adding to the mythos, and if the death of Alfred is something that sticks, I can honestly see it sticking for a pretty long time. Maybe not as long as some people would probably want it to be, but he's got a nice plot of land next to the Waynes, next to original Thomas Wayne and Martha.
Not the evil Thomas Wayne that killed him.
No, from what I read, Bruce captured evil Thomas Wayne, put him in Arkham, then Bane broke into Arkham and broke his back or something. I don't know. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I only read a couple of issues online.
Right. No, this sounds like a good run though. That's some Batman wakes up at the dinner table to Alfred's corpse. That's bold.
Mm-hmm.
That is another level. Yeah, so I definitely got to check that out. That is.
If it was Keaton's Batman though, Keaton's Batman wouldn't give.
Oh no, he'd be like, finally, I can keep a secret.
Now where's Vicky?
Right? Hold on. As soon as I get done writing my tell-all book, he's gonna have to tweet, or he's gonna be an influencer from the Batcave to leak out as much information as Bat Alfred.
Actually, wouldn't that be perfect casting Michael Keaton as murderous Thomas Wayne Batman?
Oh, dude, that would be good.
Except
I'm down for that.
Except he wouldn't be Thomas Wayne, though. We just say, oh, no, this is Batman from the Burton universe. It's just that he got so sick and tired of Alfred revealing his secret to everyone that he's the one who outright killed Alfred.
Yes. Yes. It is Burton Batman playing Flashpoint Thomas Wayne.
And a completely different story. And yeah, then we reveal his name was Thomas this whole time, actually. Whoops. Come on, Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves. We got gold. We're spinning gold over here.
Oh man, if it comes out that Robert Pattinson is Flashpoint Batman, Thomas Wayne, that would just be awesome. Hats off to them, if they want to try that. I would enjoy that thoroughly.
Yeah. Kristen Stewart plays Martha Wayne Joker or something.
Sure. Why not?
Why not? Make it a whole reunion.
I heard she can act now.
Yeah. Oh, who knows? Once you get out of bland, young adult, novel-oriented franchises, you can actually be a great performer. So...
It turns out that when the writing allows you,
you can
have plenty of range.
Off on a little tangent here, but I mean not so much because we're talking about now Robert Pattinson Batman. I think he'll do well. I mean, did you see The Lighthouse by any chance?
I did not see that one. I was tentative to watch it in the theater because I was like, man, like I heard it was good, but this movie's just gonna be weird.
Yeah.
And so I missed it, but I'll catch it on Blu-ray or something.
Oh, there's points because he's acting opposite Willem Dafoe in that, and there's
Right.
points like you're kind of like, you know what? I could see Pattinson's Batman now. I can see a Dafoe Joker. Make that happen. It's like,
don't do that to me, okay? You're getting my hopes up now. Like we're dreaming about things that could be just grand, and it's not gonna happen that way. So like it times are bleak enough, Mike. I don't need that disappointment in my life.
yeah, who knows? We probably won't even see the new Robert Pattinson Batman because we'll still be in isolation.
Oh my goodness! But no, Willem Dafoe as Joker would be a really interesting pick. I would be down for that.
He was the original one of the original picks before Jack Nicholson, I believe. Like people were looking at him for Joker in Burton's Batman.
Willem Dafoe back, young Willem Dafoe as the Joker.
Yeah, I think Platoon had just come out or whatever. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, that's sexy. I like that a lot.
But well, to dream, perchance to dream.
Oh man, but I guess I get it can't be Willem Dafoe because he's already in DC. Or I guess this is outside of the DC movie.
Oh yeah, that's right. He plays Aquaman's Alfred.
Face?
He plays he plays Aqua Alfred essentially, right? It's basically what that is.
Yeah. For sure. But he was kind of like at least Alfred was there the whole time. Though Willem Dafoe's kind of a shitty Alfred.
Have you noticed that about DC Comics? Like everyone has their own spin on Alfred to some extent, except for Superman. Superman really doesn't have an Alfred so much. I mean, I guess maybe Lois is his Alfred to some extent, but
I guess Jimmy Olsen kind of.
Yeah, but he's more like his buddy, his would-be sidekick.
That's true. He's more of the rival.
I mean, like with regards to like everyone has like that one kind of acquaintance who's a little bit more wise or sage or whatever. Like Batman's got Alfred, Aquaman's got that guy. Wonder Woman has what's her name from World War I? That one lady who was following her around.
That wasn't Artemis, was it?
No, it was just a regular lady.
The comic relief lady.
But she also had some. I can't remember. I haven't seen the movie in a while, but she had some words of wisdom. Harley Quinn's got that dude she rented the place from in Birds of Prey, who turned out to be a jerk.
I mean, I guess like, no, because Montoya isn't really like a sagely person. She's older.
Yeah, sure, certainly. But
I'm trying to find out the name of that guy.
The Aqua Alfred. Can we just call him Aqua Alfred? Volko. That's Volko. Okay.
Yeah, Vulko. Volko.
I'm calling him Aqua Alfred.
Yeah, Aqua Alfred it's more syllables, but it's easier to say.
Yes. I hope you've been enjoying our little ramble on Alfred here, because you can hear more of it over at 3geeks.ninja, because Max is part of the 3 Geeks podcast, and he and the guys have been doing some fun stuff over there. More written reviews I've seen.
It's kind of hard for us to get together now with everything going on. So we've been off we haven't recorded in a couple weeks. So unfortunately, that's another casualty of the quarantine. But we're gonna be getting back together here pretty soon. As soon as everyone gets word that everything's a little more safer or whatever. If we get word, yada yada. But we're gonna be figuring some stuff out to do actually some recording. But we are trying to watch stuff and get some reviews out there, and at least keep some content going so people don't lose their minds.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I've been doing here. Is like, I'll just start doing a lot more videos, a lot more podcasts to occupy my time as well, because my work hours aren't nearly as expansive as they were when I had to go to work in person.
Right.
But and so that it just inspired me to be like, hey, we haven't done a chat cave in a while, and it's fortuitous that we did, because there's an anniversary coming up, Max.
It's the anniversary of Robin.
He turns 80 years old in April, I believe.
Don't let Robin go outside. He might catch it.
Yep.
He's high risk.
He's high risk. I mean, at this point, I'm sure a lot of the actors that have played Robin are very high risk. So we have to keep them sequestered away, and we have to, preserve them as best we can. Yeah, Robin the Boy Wonder. He turns 80 years old, and I thought it'd be a fun time to revisit something we started ironically with Alfred, which is a little bit of just a brief little chat dossier we can set up for Robin overall, because there have been many, many Robins and many, many versions of the many, many Robins.
Chat cave case file Robin.
Yes, absolutely. Case file opened on just Robin in general.
So yeah, so I'm thinking, so is this 80th anniversary of Dick Grayson Robin, or are we doing like Robin? We're covering all Robins. If you're rocking the R, you're good to go.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that, because DC recently released a 100-page super spectacular 80th anniversary comic that I was able to pick up before comic book shops went extinct. And it basically is this 100-page comic that has like short stories, kind of what they did for Detective 1000. It has short stories featuring Dick Grayson, both as Robin and as Nightwing. That has a Jason Todd story. Has Tim Drake as Robin and Red Robin. Stephanie Brown as Robin, because she was Robin for a hot second there.
Right.
And then it has 2 Damian stories. No Carrie Kelly stories, though, unfortunately.
That's a shame. She's like my third favorite Robin.
Yeah, I think Frank did a cover for Robin, the Robin 80th of Carrie, but it's weird that she doesn't even have like a little like feature in there at all.
Not even an honorable mention.
No, yeah, it's weird. You hit upon a point there that Carrie Kelly is your third favorite Robin. I figured we can maybe do a quick ranking. Like, yeah, if we were to say like our top 3 Robins, who would they be? So we'll start with you, Max. You said Carrie is number 3 for you.
Yeah, so she's rounded out number 3. Number 2, I would put Dick Grayson.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite Robin is the Tim Drake Robin.
Now, is it Tim Drake back when he was starting off as Robin, or is it Tim Drake a little bit later, like after he gets a little bit more of a Batman-ish overhaul with regards to his origin?
I like that, and then I like when he owns Robin.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you know what? Like, people always say Robin's a sidekick. Is like, I don't subscribe to that.
Yeah,
I'm my own hero. I don't like, I'm outside the Batman. If I'm taking it back. And I really dug that about Tim Drake, because for Dick Grayson, it became kind of a burden,
Mm-hmm.
And then so he became Nightwing and yada yada. But yeah, I always thought Tim Drake rocked it. And he always had the right mentality.
I'd have to say my ranking is very similar to yours. Just kind of switched around a little bit, where it's Carrie Kelly, my third favorite. Tim Drake is second for me, and Dick Grayson is number 1, of course. Dick Grayson being the OG Robin, the one who started it all. Created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger. I want to say the whole idea of bringing Robin into Batman's world was to appeal even further to kids. Like, they had that mentality in mind that, like, hey, if there was a kid's sidekick going along with him on adventures, kids would relate more to it.
Right. Yeah, it brings you in. And also, it was in a time where it just wasn't absolutely weird. That this dude is like bringing his kid along, like no one really thinks about it too much.
Yeah, and wards were more common, I guess.
Yeah, he was definitely made in his time.
Mm-hmm.
But Dick Grayson Robin is classic. I can't say the best, because I obviously just said Tim Drake is the best, but Dick Grayson's really good.
Well, what I appreciate about all the different Robins is, like, first of all, how they come into the role on their own, how they kind of leave their own signature stamp on it, but also like their own interactions with Batman. So like Dick Grayson, when he started off, he had a very similar origin to Batman, wherein his parents were killed by a gangster who sabotaged their trapeze act. Bruce Wayne was like, oh my gosh, this kid's gonna head down a similar path that I went down unless I do something about it. So he took him under his wing.
He doesn't have near as much money.
Yep. Except he's just gonna be like financially destitute for the rest of his life unless I do something. And so took him under his wing, made him his ward, but also made him like his protege as Robin the Boy Wonder, brought his parents' killer to justice, and remained as a kid sidekick for many, many years until growing out of the short shorts, essentially. I don't know. That's what I kind of like about Dick Grayson, maybe overall, is because he is not as dark as Bruce Wayne. It's a nice compliment to him. I feel like you need that human like anchor to be able to ground Batman a little bit in some believability. That there's no way this guy who has purposefully like shut off empathy and emotions in order to fight crime. There's no way this guy could function in normal society unless he had a human sounding board, essentially.
Yeah, because I mean, Alfred is chopped liver, so.
Well, yeah, especially that. Well, now he is. But also Alfred's an enabler to some extent, where it's like he's like, okay, I'm going along for the ride with you, Master Bruce, and just hope for the best. Whereas Dick Grayson, especially as he got older, would be more prone to calling out Bruce on certain things, like especially when it came to his own independence,
right?
Like wanting to strike out on his own, being like, listen, I can't be the boy wonder forever. I'm gonna grow up, and I got to do things my own way. I can't always be playing by your rules when I'm on my own.
Yeah, and I also feel like Dick Grayson had a lot of, I want to live I want to live a normal life and be Robin. So like, there's that he always tries to like stay like connected to humanity, like versus Batman just kind of would rather just be in the Batcave solving crimes like that. Like Dick Grayson has always tried to like still remain like a piece of society.
And I know, like, I'm sure this dynamic has been analyzed to death by people with actual degrees in the field, but I feel like one part of that is because of the fact that Robin got some kind of closure with regards to the death of his parents as a child, as opposed to Bruce, who carried that with him well into adulthood.
Right.
And that it wasn't ever really processed fully, whereas Robin had the opportunity, or Dick Grayson had the opportunity to process that as a child and work it out a little bit. And
it's also like, Batman, he's like the World War II veteran who comes home and he's like shell shocked and nobody knows how to deal with it and yada yada. He's like, but he's been through it, so he knows. So Dick Grayson had the chance to at least come up with somebody experienced in like what he's feeling and what he's going through. Mm-hmm. And because Batman never had that. He just had he was on his own with the rage.
In a way, like Batman is sort of the precautionary tale for him to be like, be sure you don't do this, don't become me. And so yeah, but at the same time, like Robin showed him like, this is who you are to me, so you're not all that bad.
Right,
Dad, kind of.
Thanks, Pops.
And so he eventually strikes out on his own and becomes Nightwing with that first like flashy disco suit and everything like that.
Alfred made him.
Yep, Alfred with his keen design eye.
I guess that's a word for it.
Yeah. Rest in peace, you old so-and-so.
Seamstress you.
Seamstress you. Man, poor Alfred. Anyways, and then that made way for another Robin a couple years later, which would be Jason Todd, who, before Crisis on Infinite Earths, had the exact same origin story as Dick Grayson. Like, pre-Crisis, Jason Todd had circus folk parents who were killed as well. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. How many of these carnies are getting killed off? What is going on?
It was in the early 80s, there was a mass hysteria surrounding the frequent assassination of carny folk. Oh man,
from mobsters.
Oh my god. But yeah, and he was very much similar demeanor and mindset as Dick Grayson pre-Crisis. He really didn't have much of his own personality, but I think because writers were like, well, we just need to introduce Robin and not do anything different with him. And then Crisis happened, and then he was rewritten to be just this street rat, essentially, he stole the hubcaps off the Batmobile?
Yeah.
Yeah, or stole the whole tires.
Yeah, because you couldn't just take the hubcap.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. But yeah, and so it's like Batman comes back to the Batmobile and it's up on like cinder blocks or something.
Yeah. Yep.
And so he's like, okay, this kid's got something. I'll take him in. And so he becomes Robin, the second Robin, and his take on Robin is certainly something different.
Well, he was a little more, a little more troubled. a little more violent, a little more headstrong. So, because like Batman's used to Dick Grayson, who would like just take orders, and then like this kid's like, no, I'm gonna do my own thing. So it's like that was a little, but nobody liked him.
That, of course, his unlikability led to a interesting little campaign in the 80s, which was the call it in and you decide if Robin lives or dies for death in the family.
Die, like that. I don't even understand how the comic book community could be so cold. But like, this is the precursor to the internet. Like, we should have known that the trolls were gonna be there because of poor Jason Todd. Like, it is.
Man, if they still did that type of stuff, it would be, it'd be like Twitter poll: should Damian live or die on this one?
Oh, dude, I would vote for Damian to die. he deserves it.
Well, we'll get to him, but yeah, like. But that was, I don't know, something different, I guess, from Dick Grayson in that, like, this Robin's a little less compliant with Batman's orders, more defiant, absolutely. Like you said, dark, a little bit twisted in his own way. He never really got satisfaction on, like, where he came from, did he?
No, I don't think so.
Like, I know the whole thing leading into his death was that he was looking for his birth mother, and he thought he found her, but she turned out to be like working with the Joker in secret, and something about that. Like she tricked him, and that led to the crowbar.
The crowbar and the bomb squad.
But he had an interesting history after death, which is that he was brought back to life. And we actually had a whole podcast episode dedicated to that. His turning into the latest Red Hood.
I think that was a really cool thing to do for them. That was like, I'm not always a fan of bring them back, but except for you, Alfred, I want you back.
Yeah.
But, like this is good. I like the story that they told. It's very interesting. It's very cool how they do it, and I thought Jason Todd really came around. Like the second coming of Jason Todd is much better than the first time around.
He became more interesting after he'd been killed. So that and brought back.
All he had to do is get brutally murdered. That's it.
No, but it is interesting because it's not. I always find myself in my head kind of comparing Jason to Damian, but I'm actually like they're vastly different. Whereas like Jason kind of recognizes he's gone over the line several times, and it's more just the fact that it's not like he's doing it to defy. He just doesn't care anymore. And it's that he still wants to be accepted into the Bat family to some extent, but is like, I'm still going to do my own thing.
Yeah. And Damian is a heartless little assassin.
Yeah. Who's like, I'll cross this line all the time just to prove that I should be the one leading this whole thing.
Yes. I mean, I like his origin story. I think that is awesome.
The mixture, or him being his actual legit son.
Talia al Ghul is a sex offender, okay? Like, let's not get it twisted. She should come to justice for her crimes. But yeah, so she takes his love juice and goes and makes a little baby and raises it all her own.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down. I dig that story. But then he turns out to just be a little shit, and he's not cool. So his being a ninja is completely negated.
I guess so. And the fact that Batman does what he can with a kid, because it's like, I think in his first introduction, he outright kills a villain, and Batman's like, no.
Yeah, like he's like, oh yeah, this kid's been raised by the League of Assassins.
And he died at one point, didn't he?
Damian?
Yeah, he died at one point and was brought back to life too.
Oh, no, that's lame.
So,
I guess cool because he died, but they shouldn't have brought him back.
Not only were carny folk being killed off left and right, but so were boy wonders and being resurrected all the time. So it's like,
like there's a fun meme I saw where it's like, why do you they're like, why do you wear black all the time? And Batman's like, so I don't get shot at. And they're like, well, why do you put Dick Grayson in such bright colors? He's like, so I don't get shot at.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. They parodied that on what was it, Tiny Toons at one point. Plucky Duck was Bat Duck, and the
Hampton.
Hampton. He was, I forget his name, but he was basically Robin, except he had a big bullseye on his chest instead of the R.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean those are flashy colors.
Red, yellow, and green. Yeah, I will.
I guess from a psychological standpoint, you could argue it's like, well, he's a kid. He wants to embody more the adventurous side of fighting evil and things like that. So sure, why not go for that look? And also it ties into his trapeze artist origins a little bit, but also it's like doesn't work in murky Gotham where everything is pitch black except for you. At the time he was created, the Batman comics weren't as dark as they got. Like he was, like you said, a product of the time where it was about more the adventuring side of things. It was lighter in tone and in spirit.
Yeah.
And when you try to translate that over into like grittier material, some of it works, some of it doesn't. More often it doesn't. Hence why, Carrie Kelly, I think in Dark Knight Returns worked fairly well, but also she wasn't as, I want to say, over the top as some of the Robins could be. Like they acknowledge like he's putting a kid in danger.
Yeah.
They call out Batman to some extent on that. Like he basically calls her good soldier. Like
right. Yeah. He's definitely a little bit insane in the Frank Miller.
Yeah. Like he's indoctrinating kids into a war essentially. And
right.
Yeah. So they don't let it go with a pass on that. Like they absolutely like play into the idea of like a kid fighting crime is ridiculous and a little insane. So here we go. But then you have exceptional kids like Tim Drake. And so you said he's kind of your favorite.
Yeah. I like him just because he's like with the third Robin in the comic books, and like Batman, he lost Jason Todd, so Tim Drake got put through like the most rigorous training period of any of the Robins, and he really had to prove himself that he could do it, because like Dick Grayson was just kind of a happenstance sort of situation.
Yeah.
Jason Todd was Batman's like attempt at, like recreating this, and then Tim Drake kind of had to not only apply for the job, but then let Batman know that someone needed to do this job.
Yeah. Well,
because Batman was hardcore, not about having a sidekick after losing Jason Todd.
And he kind of put it together too. Like he didn't like stumble into it or anything. Like he was like a little detective when he was a kid, and he like put it together that, hey, Dick Grayson and Robin disappeared around the same time. If you look outside of the world of the comics, like anybody could put it together easily.
Right.
It's like, but the fact that he went the extra mile to actually like seek out Batman's approval on this before he actually became Robin was kind of an interesting angle.
Yeah, and I think that he is the most like Batman, like because like Batman is the world's greatest detective, and Tim Drake is also just a great detective. So I don't know. That's what I really like about him. His origin, like it's pretty cool. I dig that, but like he's still like he lives with his dad, so he's still got kind of like family, and he's a different kind of Robin because like no other Robin really had something outside of Batman to protect.
That's what I was about to say, is that he doesn't have the baggage that Batman had going into that line of work. Like you said, his dad was still alive. He came from his own like wealth essentially. Like he has his family was pretty well off. Like they were neighbors to Bruce Wayne, I think. And so he had like shared access to the cave system. So that's how he found the Bat Cave and things like that. But yeah, so I like that version of Tim. He offered a different shade to what Robin could be. Not necessarily he's in the Batman shadow, but he's operating on his own. He had his own like comic book run for a long period of time. That comic book actually I think was born out of the fact that Jean-Paul Valley was Batman at the time and was a psychopath and basically said, I don't need no stinking Robin.
Right.
And so Tim Drake's like, fine, whatever. I'll just do my own thing.
Whatever. It's my hot body. I do what I want.
He stayed Robin for a long period of time, then became Red Robin at some point. I know that they killed his dad off at one point.
Yeah, had to happen.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben's got to go.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that because I'm just like, the way they were setting up that dynamic was cool because the dad for a long time didn't know he was Robin. And then when he found out, he was like, well, I'm your dad. Don't I get some say in this? So that had the possibility of more interesting stories, which was like Tim's got to stay in and spend time with his father, but also, hey, Joker's got a gas bomb or something.
Like, and I figured it out. I know where he's hiding it. Like, what are you supposed to do?
what are you supposed to do? And Bruce isn't around, so it's like, what do you want me to do? He was adopted by Bruce after that, I guess, too. So he technically is a Wayne now, but
and they're all Waynes now.
They're all
Batman Inc. and all that good stuff.
And that did for a while. His girlfriend Stephanie, the spoiler, was Robin because she was her own superhero, and they were like sort of a team. And then I think Batman, in an effort to kind of keep Robin with him, because at that point Tim and him were falling out.
Yeah.
Like, he revealed all the secrets to Stephanie, and it just made Robin even more pissed off.
He pulled an Alfred.
Yeah, he pulled the Alfred, if anything. Like, Jesus.
He learned from the best.
Yep. When times seem difficult, sir, just reveal the cave. Always works for me.
Oh my goodness. Alfred's like, the truth is the only tonic.
The truth is the only tonic. God. But yeah, so Stephanie was Robin for a short while. Her story was more like she felt she had a lot to kind of like prove to Batman at that point, because not only was she coming into it as an outsider, but also she was something of an amateur superhero at the start of her career who never really got Batman's approval when she was spoiler.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, now I got to get your approval on a whole nother level. And then they killed her off and brought her back.
Lazarus Pits, man.
I guess. Or just constantly rebooting your universe does that to you.
Yeah, that's true too. Guess when you hit the old reset button in the sky, like, yeah, it doesn't really matter.
I remember
4 or 5 years?
Yeah, every 4 or 5 years we just got to reboot the universe, whether it's just through time shenanigans or Dr. Manhattan, like one of the two. But
I think that was an and situation, not an or situation.
It's everything all at once. I know she had a pretty storied career as well. Like, she was spoiler, she was Robin, she was the new Batgirl for a while, and then she went back to being spoiler in the reboot, I think. So all these Robins so far have had very storied careers.
Yeah, they all seem to die, but then come back.
Yep.
What, like half and half right now?
Yeah,
like,
pretty much.
It's like Star Trek movies. All the odd numbered Robins are the ones that live.
So wait a minute. So Dick Grayson's the motion picture.
Yeah.
Jason Todd's the Wrath of Khan. That makes sense. Tim is Search for Spock. It's gonna keep going through Star Trek movies. You go ahead.
but it lines up. I mean, because Jason Todd is definitely Wrath of Khan, and Tim Drake is definitely Search for Spock.
It's all about rebuilding from scratch in a different way. I'm trying to think if either Stephanie or Carrie is the one where you travel back in time to rescue whales.
That's Carrie, just because it's so like weird and
it's out there. Okay. I guess no, I don't want to give Stephanie Voyage Home, or not Voyage Home, but Final Frontier, where they search for God. Let's give that to Damien, because that Star Trek sucks. Let's talk about Damien a little bit more. Yeah, so Damien, aka Star Trek: The Final Frontier, the worst Star Trek / Robin ever.
Yes, hands down.
It depends on who's writing him, honestly. There's times where I think the character or the idea of the character can really work, and there's times where I'm like, I've had it with this little snot.
Yeah, well, it's when they don't write him like just a petulant little shit that he's actually good. Like there's some, because like there's a storyline with when they're doing like the Year Zero, death of the family run with Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo.
Yeah,
you see him like murdering bats in the Batcave, and like he's just a little bit off, and they're trying to like get him to come back to like be a person.
Yeah, essentially.
That's cool. It's a good way to, that's a good line. But like any time where he's just like a hyper petulant, murderous little shit, and then Can't stand him.
I will say I like his relationship with Dick Grayson far more than I like it whenever he's with his dad.
Yes.
But him and Dick Grayson, actually, I like that team up because they were Batman and Robin together for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he definitely had that little shit attitude towards Dick Grayson earlier on. But as they kept going through their own series, like they formed a stronger bond and like actually treated each other like, you know, little and big brother more so than anything else. That when Dick Grayson like returns from presumably being dead, but he wasn't dead, of course, when he returns to public life and he reunites with Damian, it's actually like a really touching scene.
Right.
Like Damian like gives him a big hug and everything like that. He's like, "I've missed you."
Yeah, and you know, because at first like Damian looked at him as like a replacement, you know, like he was actually Bruce Wayne's son, even though Dick Grayson, you know, was his adopted son. And so like he thought that he had to like become greater than him or even at first even murder him to take his place. And once he got over that, you know, and they developed a trust and respect for each other, like that relationship was pretty good.
Well, his big rivalry in the comics, at least, that was with Tim, because Tim at that point had been recently adopted by Bruce Wayne. And then, coming into the whole, hey, here's my actual son, like that could definitely have some interesting implications. But yeah, no, I like Damian when he's working off of Dick Grayson and when he's not being insufferable. But for the most part, he's pretty insufferable. He's got that superiority complex that works overtime.
Yeah. And,
I can't argue I wouldn't be the same if I wasn't raised by the snobbiest assassins in the world.
Well, I mean, like, the thing is, you know, like, they had to worry about this kid, like, killing people. So, I like, when I was 10, I was not murdering anybody. So he's got that on me.
When I got into my 20s, so much murdering.
Yeah. You know, like, it took, the learning curve was a bit slow, but we got there eventually.
I don't know why I'm drawing up this comparison, but I've always thought of the Al Ghouls as sort of the Kardashians of the assassin world. Like, they're just way too opulent and way too, like, flaunting with their resources and wealth. It's like, yeah, no wonder. I mean, this kid grew up to essentially be a Kim.
Yeah.
You
see Damian Wayne is a big old booty.
He broke the internet. I mean, he got some good qualities to him, I guess. He pals around with Superman's son. Seems to tolerate him.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like once if you give him the opportunity to grow, and then like there are some good runs where Damian comes around and his story actually gains some substance. But yeah, again, mostly like they kind of just play him off as this little dick. And
you don't mean Grayson though, right?
No. No. Penis.
Yes, penis.
No, he just sucks. He's just like a sucky person. He's like a sucky sidekick because he's always ruining everything like that. It's Damian sucks.
Well, we won't dwell on him too much here. I figured we'd talk a little bit about Robin in other media because there have been plenty of Robins in TV shows and cartoons and movies. And I don't know, how would you rank your Robins in other media? Like, who are your top 3 Robins across TV shows or cartoons or anything else?
All right, so I think I like, because Dick Grayson Robin gets a lot of play in like Batman animated series as Robin, but then, you know, like in the 3rd or 4th season, I think 3rd season, they grow him up to Nightwing, and they have Tim Drake in there. And funnily enough, they kind of do a Jason Todd story with Tim Drake in the cartoon.
Yeah, they kind of mash him up
from that.
Yeah, they mash him up into one character.
But I think actually, like, I think Dick Grayson gets the best showing, like, as Robin outside of like the comic books. But I mean, he's just had like the most time, and he's like a beloved character, so it's you know, people rightly give him the the respect that he deserves, and then they throw him in a bunch of stuff. Teen Titans, that's Dick Grayson Robin, right?
Oh, the show. Yeah. I believe they basically say that is, he never takes off his mask or anything, but yeah, that is Dick Grayson. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't make much difference if he did take off his mask because it's all just, you know, a big family of kids with black hair. So they all.
Batman's got a type.
Yeah. Let's put it that way. Let's be generous and put it that way. Sure.
Batman the Animated Series is probably like my favorite Batman media of all time, and that's mostly dealing with Dick Grayson and Robin, and who I think what sucks with Robin is the power creep, because like they have to like depower either Robin is kind of just useless and is there to get caught, or they got to depower Batman to make Robin useful. And I don't really like that. So it's like a very thin line you have to walk when you're playing, Batman and Robin. But they walk it pretty well.
Yeah. Well, especially in the animated series because he's not a kid. Like he's in college and he's older. So the reasoning for him not being in a story is a little bit easier. Like he's got his own life at that point, but they still play up the tension between the two very well. And the power dynamic, like you said, is actually part of the storytelling. That's part of why he becomes Nightwing in the series is because he's had it being Batman's sidekick.
Yeah.
Like punches him in the face essentially.
And I mean, like Batman is not the best guy the easiest guy to work with. So that's understandable.
Yep.
Let's see here. Video games. I don't think Robin gets a lot of love in video games.
You have those missions in Arkham and the downloadable stuff, but it's, I don't know. Yeah, not nearly as entertaining. I do like it when you can team up with either Nightwing or Robin in some of the Arkham stuff.
Yeah, those fights were fun. And like the cinematics are all solid.
Oh, Adam West, Burt Ward.
Ooh, Adam West, Burt Ward. 66 Robin is the worst.
You don't like Holy Blank?
Oh my goodness. Oh man, poor Burt Ward. At least he's always useful.
Yeah, he's part of the action all the time. He gets his licks in. He can be funny at times when he's not doing the holy whatever. I will admit, it is funny now, like tongue in cheek, just to hear all the different holies.
Yeah.
It could literally be anything. Like, I'm looking at a copy of my V for Vendetta DVD, and literally the joke could be, Holy V for Vendetta DVD. It's like, that's all it could be. But it still makes you laugh because he's pouring so much sincerity into it.
Oh yeah, I mean, like the best part about it is they like everyone seems like they're playing it as straight as possible. Like except for the villains who are in and out, like the one times, but everyone else has got to play it straight.
Yeah. Burt Ward, he got the short end of the stick for that whole show. Like he had to do his own stunts for the most part. He was getting paid basically peanuts compared to everybody else, and yeah, it's like he wasn't able really to find any bigger gigs outside of Batman after that. I don't know. I got to give him kudos for hanging in there.
Yeah, and like again, like that show is crazy, wacky, kooky fun. Like it sucks that it sucks that you're kind of hearing all these horror stories now. It's like Bill Finger is just now getting the credit that he deserves. And like Burt Ward treated like a piece of crap like the whole time. It's like, man, they put together something great, like and it's had an effect on people's lives, and it just sucks, when you hear that they didn't get treated well, like because they easily could have, and it wouldn't have hurt anybody. So that's crappy.
I will say the silver lining that came out of the show long term is that Burt Ward and Adam West had a legit friendship outside of the show. Like they were actual like bosom buddies in real life, so that works.
Yeah, I guess it's not a total like Burt Ward just goes off. He hates everyone.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. It's like he seems pretty well adjusted with his life and everything. He's doing all right. He had a guest shot in that Crisis crossover that I didn't watch.
I didn't watch it either. I mean, Kevin Conroy is the Batman. I should have watched it just to show him some support for that. I couldn't do it. I'm just done with CW shows.
Yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes because that's when I knew I was going to see Burt Ward, Kevin Conroy, and Tom Welling, and I'm just like, okay. And it was just like, guess what they brought Burt Ward in to do? Take a guess, Max. Just take a guess. If you had to bring in Burt Ward for your DC crossover, what's he going to do?
Sell ice cream?
Nah, take another guess.
Burt Ward.
If you're bringing in Burt Ward to reprise his role as Robin, and he has to do just one thing,
he's going to say holy rusted metal, Batman.
No, that's a different Robin. Fuck you for that. So here's the whole thing. He comes in like the opening of the first episode of Crisis on Infinite Earths, and they're going across all the different multiverses and stuff or universes. All the skies are turning red like they did in the comics. They get to Earth 66. Get it? And Burt Ward's like walking his dog, which looks like Ace the Bat Hound down the street.
All right.
You hear the familiar dun 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 dun. Then you see the skies turn red. Close up on Burt Ward, and he says, "Holy crimson skies of death." And cameo.
Yes. Perfect.
Man.
And scene.
So you mentioned a catchphrase from a Robin that I think is worse than 66 Robin. And that is Chris O'Donnell Robin from the Schumacher movies.
And here's another one of those cases where like you can't hire like a 45-year-old dude to play like a teenager or you know or whatever, a young adult. Like,
yeah, that's right. That's our running joke with that. Is that like, how can he be kid's sidekick when he's basically at the same age as Bruce?
Yeah, like they're like a couple of years apart, at best.
Okay, I'll throw it out there though. Who do you think he had better chemistry with, Val Kilmer or George Clooney?
I'm gonna say Val Kilmer, but that's just because I feel like the writing was better in that movie.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Because I mean, like when you get to George Clooney, it's all just like every line has got to be like a one-liner. You know, like Mr. Freeze is written horribly, and they're fighting over Uma Thurman the whole time. Mm-hmm. It's really bad.
I mean, they've done that in the comics, and the same reasoning being in the comics that she pheromone dusts them.
Well, yeah, but no, I'm just saying like the chemistry isn't there because like they're going at each other, you know, like they're supposed to be at odds, so it's a little whatever. But the movie was just bad, just super bad. Like there's no redeeming quality, you know, because like even like Batman Forever has, you know, like you like Jim Carrey's Riddler.
Yeah,
even though he's way over the top. Like there's definitely some good things in there that you have fun with. But
when it comes to Robin in Forever, I'll agree with you. Like I think he has better chemistry with Val Kilmer. They're talking about, like you said, more diverse things than one-upping each other. Like the whole story is part of it is Robin's origin, and Bruce is trying to tell him like, hey, you could easily go out there and kill Two-Face for doing what he did, but you know that's not the way you actually mete out true justice. Like he's actually trying to have a heart-to-heart with him on this to some degree or another. Val Kilmer just looks bored though saying it, and Chris O'Donnell, like you said, is in his 40s. So he's like, I don't need this talking down to older-ish kind of man.
Yeah, dude, it's like, come on, man. Like we were just drinking beers like yesterday. Like what are you doing? I'm a 65-year-old man.
Why does he get older and older every time we bring up the age?
It's because I can't even tell how old he is. That dude is so old in that movie.
I do remember watching Batman Forever in the theater. I was sitting in front of, I'm assuming just these two girls in the row behind me. And there's a point when he's got like Two-Face on the rocks, literally. And he's just and he's just standing there, you know, on the island and stuff, looking triumphant. I hear one of the girls whisper to the other one, like, that suit really makes him look hot. And it's like, well, yeah, because the suit has got like erect nipples on it, and you know,
and abs.
And abs like chiseled,
and a giant 14-inch cock.
And again, there is a point in the movie where Alfred says, I took the liberty, sir.
Seamstress Alfred at it again. Like, I mean,
Alfred.
Dude, he just likes making Robin suits, you know? Like, this bat suits are easy, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, there's no flair, there's no room for, you know, for excitement or passion.
It's like just
black on gray.
Yep, carve out some black rubber and you're set. It's like,
and no, Robin, he's using some reds and some greens and some yellows, and like before he knows what's going on, the suit's done, the nipples are there. Ass is looking freaking pristine.
Yeah, they do love the close-up on the bat butts. I mean,
oh man,
more power to him on that. Absolutely. What did you think of the origin for his name in the movie? Remember, there's that point where Val Kilmer's like, he sees that there's an R next to his suit nipple, and he's like, R, what's that stand for?
yeah. I mean, it was his nickname. I that's fine. That's totally fine.
Mom said, I rescued my in this movie, he had a brother too who was killed. Right. He's like, Mom, I rescued my brother on a trapeze act that went bad. My mom said I flew in like a robin.
Like, robins are known for diving and catching.
Yep.
In midair. Is it?
Very self-sacrificing birds, those robins are.
Yes.
Watch, someone's going to
come. Anything out of the air.
Yeah. Well, no. Watch, someone's going to correct me in the comments or something and be like, actually, robins are known to be very protective and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Robins are known to catch falling eggs out of nests, even if they're not robin nests. It's a beautiful thing, and they're selfless creatures.
And you should have known that, Michael.
Yeah. And you're just a little bit more of an asshole for talking shit about robins.
Ignorance of robin behavior breeds further ignorance.
And we should be ashamed of ourselves. I'm going to pre-apologize for my ignorance of this, and just say that, now I know. And
I'm not going to. I don't care. I don't care about the maternal or protective instincts of robins worth. I'll tell you what'll happen, though. If at any point I do see an egg fall out of a tree and the robin catches it, I'll be like, he flew in like a robin! Give that bird.
He flew in like Dick Grayson and saved it. You should name that robin Dick.
Way to go, Dick. Holy rusted metal indeed. Give that bird his nipply suit.
To admit that I did laugh out loud the first time I heard "Holy Rusted Metal Batman." I thought that was a great line. Now I know better, but
well, and it's kind of preparing you for what's coming down the pike, because as soon as Joel Schumacher was like, "Hey, that got a laugh," I know exactly what I'm doing in the sequel. It's like, let's just lean right into 66 aesthetic. Why not?
Yeah, for sure.
It's like why have this pretense that we got to take this seriously anymore? Let's have fun.
Yeah, because I mean, like the first two, the Keaton, the Tim Burton Batmans, like Tim Burton is a dark dude. So like,
there was someone I was on Twitter recently. Someone did like a whole thread on movie directors if they titled their movies based on what they actually are intending to get across to the audience, and it was called Tim Burton's "This is what you get for making me try out for sports, Dad." It made me laugh so hard. But yeah,
absolutely.
Like it is the angstiest, like teenage writing in your notebook with your hair flopping down thing that you could have.
Yo, cut your hair and get a job, you hippie.
But no, yeah, like they needed to be lightened up a little bit. Forever really doesn't go that route too much. Batman and Robin absolutely goes that route.
Yeah, you can see he's pushing. Like Schumacher was like, okay, well, what can I get away with? And then like once he realized he could get away with anything, like that was that. Like it was full on neon everything in a Gotham City for some reason. It's just weird. It's just weird stuff.
It's weird though too, because as much as I think the filmmakers are trying to say, like, if we include Robin in this, it'll be more fun. Robin in both those movies is by far one of the least fun aspects of each movie.
Yes. Yeah, and it's partly towards the power creep, and partly towards, again, like just crap writing. There's no good reason for Robin to be there, and that sucks. It's the same problem with Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad. Like,
I will say there's some aesthetic stuff I like from Batman and Robin. I like that they were trying to do sort of a Nightwing-ish type of thing with his costume. Like, he's got the Nightwing, like, shoulder design and things like that. That's kind of neat. The idea of Robin breaking out onto his own isn't the worst thing they could have done in the movie. Like you said, the main thing is that I don't believe for a second that these two are supposed to be older and younger compatriots. Like
Right.
they're the same age almost.
Yeah, I mean, like when you are 72 years old and your friend is 74 years old,
Again,
does it even matter? Does it even matter who's 72 and 74?
Again, with adding on to the age, dude. Come on.
I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
But I mean,
I have established from the beginning that both of those men were 85 years old.
But I gotta say, for a 90-year-old, he does the job.
I mean, like, we should just be mostly impressed with their mobility, you know?
Oh, man. Movie-wise, Robin really hasn't had much else outside of Schumacher at this point. Like, I know, what's his name, Blake, in the Dark Knight trilogy, or the last one at least.
Ugh.
Like, oh, my middle name, or my real name? Robin. Why not? I should use it more often. Hey, yo, I'm kind of the sidekick. Hey, I'm Joseph Gordon-Levitt as via Tony Danza.
Yeah, I prefer Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Bruce Willis than I do as freaking Tony Danza. Yeah, the Dark Knight Rises was probably like the biggest disappointment Batman movie.
You sure about that?
Yeah, because like when you watch Batman Forever and then you go into Batman and Robin, like you see it. Like if you didn't see that coming, then that was just the blinders you put over your own eyes.
Yeah.
But coming off of The Dark Knight into The Dark Knight Rises, it was like the biggest drop off in quality from like any two Batman movies like ever.
Oh, okay. I can see what you're saying now. Like, just in terms of, like, expectations were very high and failed to meet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, because I watched Dark Knight Rises, and I had to go watch it again, because I was like, there's no way I didn't like it. Like, this can't be right. I must be wrong. Like that's what I was thinking.
I'm the one with a problem. Me!
Yeah, because there's no way that Christopher Nolan, who's put out arguably the two best Batman movies to date, is gonna make The Dark Knight Rises. Like that just shouldn't happen in the world, but it did.
It's all about bending the mythos to him, not so much. And also part of it, I'm kind of wondering now in retrospect, like how much of that was sort of like part of the studio saying, could you try to work in something like Robin? Try a little bit, please. It doesn't have to be outright like, short shorts and a yellow cape, but could you try? It's like, I guess he was kind of sort of the sidekick, but yeah.
But yeah, like he's just a cop, like freaking Batman went halfway across the world to become Batman.
Yeah, exactly. And now he's left him the cave and all its resources to, I don't know, mess with. Sure. We'll never know. We'll never have a follow-up to that world ever.
But, actually, I'm going to say Joseph Gordon-Levitt's Robin is worse than Damian Wayne's Robin.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I think so.
How do you figure that hot take?
I just there's nothing to him, and it's like such a crap like Robin, he's like, oh, like this is the best you can get, like some asshole named Robin.
they combined elements of all different Robins into, so he's a little bit of Dick, he's a little bit of Jason to some extent because he grew up in a rough neighborhood or something. He's a little bit of Tim because he figured out Bruce Wayne was a Batman because Bruce looked sad when he visited the orphanage one day.
Right, yeah, because I seen your sad eyes. I think so.
Well, my favorite thing is like, I knew right then and there that you were the Batman when I saw your sad eyes, even though I've never actually seen the Batman. I'm assuming the Batman has sad eyes, and if they had sad eyes, he's going to look exactly like your sad eyes.
I'm a smart detective.
Oh, my God. Okay, so I know we love to make Alfred impressions, but I think we found a new impression to have fun with.
Oh, by the way, sir. Yeah, definitely. It's like in the movies, I would take Chris O'Donnell over JGL.
Yeah, I'm in that category too, because at least it's like he has a little bit more of a role with regards to like responsibilities in the story can be handled only by Robin and by nobody else. Whereas in Dark Knight Rises, you could have given any of Blake stuff to any of the other thousands of characters in those movies.
Yeah.
Like Gordon could have had a little bit more to do. You could have kept Alfred in the narrative longer to do something. Like, yeah.
I really wish they would have gone Barbara Gordon Oracle.
Yeah, honestly, that would have been kind of cool.
I feel like she would have worked a lot better than trying like their little ham-fisted Robin attempt.
It would have been established too, because they established Gordon's family in the previous movies.
Right. Yeah.
And
I don't think that's much of a jump.
8 years go by in between the second and third one, so it's like she could have grown up to be like this teenager who's really smart and really capable and
grew up knowing about the Batman, and then her dad's this cop, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna do something to yada yada. Like, gee, we're not writers, we're not smart people.
And we already did our own podcast on this topic way back in the day, so check that out too. I want to mention this version of the character because I feel out of all the iterations of Robin that we've talked about so far, I actually like this one the most, which is the Young Justice Robin.
Yes.
And I mean Dick Grayson, because they do the whole thing where he grows up to be Nightwing, and then they have Tim Drake come in, and it's hinted at that Jason Todd was there for a brief moment in the first season or so when he's full on Robin. Like I get what they're doing with the character. He's a little bit too headstrong, perhaps, because he's been the one who's been a sidekick the longest, even though he's one of the younger ones.
Yeah.
I do like that dynamic where he thinks he can kind of be the leader, but then he defers to Aqualad to be the leader because he gets it. Like, he's a little bit more mature.
Like, I thought that was cool too, because for Teen Titans, Robin is definitely the leader, and you kind of have these like preconceived notions when you're coming into it. So it was really interesting when they're like, okay, yeah, like how to be like Batman's right hand, and how to like do everything, but like you've never been in a situation where you had to lead people to what could possibly kill them. So that was really cool, I thought.
And when he grows up in the time jumps and becomes Nightwing, like I like what they did with him there, even though he certainly didn't learn much from his time with Batman and being like, hey, guess what? Secrets suck, so let's not keep secrets. Like, not only does he not learn that lesson in the second season, but in the Outsiders season, he's doing it again. It's just like...
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of got an MO at this point.
Yeah. Secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone. Let that sink in, Dick. Yeah.
What are you talking about? I kept a secret from somebody the other day. Didn't hurt nobody.
And I don't think we've had a DCEU version of Rob. Oh, well, his suit was on display in Ben Affleck's cave. So.
Right. So that was kind of cool, hinting at a Jason Todd sort of situation.
Well, we're not going to get that with this new Pattinson thing, because it looks like they're just going to be like, forget everything about Batfleck. We're going to go a different direction, even though this will be the same universe, kind of, sort of.
I feel bad for Ben Affleck. I feel like he didn't get a good shakeup. I really liked I thought the casting was solid, but it just didn't quite get there.
Well, let's play hypothetical here to kind of wrap things up. Who would you cast as Batfleck's Robin if they had continued that particular version of the character?
All right, so in this scenario, I think Batfleck's Robin, the best Robin for him would be Jason Todd.
Okay.
Just because this Batman is so much more angry. I think that you could see where Jason Todd's viciousness would reflect to the Batman, to where he sees oh, I'm doing this the wrong way. So I think that would be an interesting story. Who would I cast as Jason Todd? I might get I don't know, whoever did the casting for Stranger Things. I'm calling that person. We're gonna find us a kid. Because I wouldn't want him to be too old, so like maybe like 10 to 13 years old, like somewhere in there. So I think you'd have to find a new kid to do it.
Oh, so you wouldn't want like a Finn Wolfhard playing Robin or something?
He could do it. Like if they were doing it right now, if they were like filming it right now, he could do it.
Yeah. As soon as you said Stranger Things, I'm like, oh, he wants a Finn. Either that or he just wants like a girl Robin who happens to be called Jason, played by Millie Bobby Brown. And all she has to do is stare at people with death eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm down for that too. Hell, actually, you can still get Millie Bobby Brown. I'm down for
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Why not? She's badass, certainly, maybe. I don't know. I heard this theory way back in the day when Batman v Superman was still on its way to release and the anticipation was building and people were analyzing the trailers left and right and they were like, the Robin suit, the Robin suit. And they saw like all the graffiti on the Robin suit saying like, ha ha ha, joke's on you.
Right.
There was a fan theory out there for a while that speculated that because Joker in this is being played by Jared Leto in Suicide Squad, and they're making him up to be sort of this young gigolo type of Joker, that there was a fan theory that that Joker was actually Jason Todd, and it wasn't that Jason Todd was murdered, but that Jason Todd lost his mind and became the new Joker.
I like that.
You like that theory?
Yeah, I'm down for that. There's a lot of depth in there that you could. Yeah, I think that's like a good amount of storytelling. I'd prefer it, than like that's just the Joker. And then it also, that's like, in this universe, Batman could have easily at any point in time killed the Joker. But the joke is that the Joker lives on no matter what he does, and I think that would be kind of cool. I'm down for that. Better than what we got for sure.
What, you weren't a big fan of? Oh God,
Mustache Gate.
Yeah. Oh no, I was thinking. Yeah, I know what you're talking about there, but I was trying to think of a Joker line from Suicide Squad. I'm just like, holy crap, there are no memorable lines. That's terrible. It's like,
like, dude, all the best Joker lines are said by Mark Hamill. Like,
absolutely.
Without Batman, crime has no punchline.
There you go. Oh, I mean, with all the versions of the character that even in the past couple of months have seen release, we'll definitely get to a Chad dossier on the Joker. But for right now, I just want to say happy 80th to you, Robin, whoever you might be at this point in your career. Whether you're Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Stephanie Brown, Damian Wayne, Pepe Gonzalez, I don't know.
All right, quick before we sign off.
Sure.
Who is the better sidekick, Robin or Samwise Gamgee?
Oh man, you got me in a quandary here because
Sam is cool. He's your bro for sure.
Sam doesn't take no guff. Like he's not as jokey, but he's still lighthearted at points.
Yep. Knows how to cook. Isn't as trusting of creepers hanging around as Robin might be.
I don't know where that's coming from. I'm trying. I don't even know what the context of that joke is. I'm like, when was Robin ever trusting of creepers?
I don't know. But I think you've read more comics than me, so I was just gonna let it go. Like, yeah, you know what? That's probably issue number 39 that I'd never read. So.
Yeah, it was probably the stranger danger issue or something like that in the 80s when everyone was worried their kids were going to get kidnapped.
Definitely some PSA Batman comic out there that's got
absolutely
Robin taking candy from some stranger.
It depends on the Robin too. Like if it's Samwise against, say, Damian Robin, no contest, Samwise wins. If it's Samwise against Dick Grayson's more of a leader. Samwise, he'll take up the mantle if he has to, but he doesn't really. He's not really a take charge kind of character unless it absolutely falls on just him.
Yeah. So, all right, and that's fair.
Yeah.
I'll accept that. I also agree. Like, I mean, I'd even say Jason Todd, Damian Wayne, those are. I'd take Samwise over those guys.
Yeah. Oh, they're putting that ring on. They're putting that ring on instantaneously. Like, there's no question.
They're gonna beat up Frodo and take the ring.
Yeah, Damien will be like, "Gimme." In true assassin Kardashian fashion, Damien would be like, "Gimme the sparkly."
Right. That's mine now. Used to fight evil.
Damien's Golem. I mean, let's put it that way.
I think I'd definitely rather have Samwise around.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, I'm down.
Yep.
Those guys, I think Sam is cool, but those guys are above and beyond.
Unless now, third round.
Okay.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt or Samwise Gamgee.
Samwise Gamgee.
Well, you wouldn't be impressed by Joseph Gordon-Levitt being like, I knew you were the ring bearer because I saw your sad eyes. You
It's
put
like,
the
yeah.
ring around, you put it around your neck, and you start crying. I knew you were the ring bearer.
No, freaking Joseph Gordon-Levitt would be talking to the night rapes or whatever. Like, I knew you was the original human kings because of your sad eyes.
9 kings of men, 9 ring wraiths. Put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Oh my God. Call me Robin.
No. Oh man, no. Please go sit down, Robin. If that's your real name.
Is that what the ring wraiths are saying? They're just like, nah, we're good.
Yep.
We'll be over
yeah.
here.
It's just like, God, Joseph, go home.
We gotta go stab this hobbit. We'll be back. You just chill.
Oh, all right.
So there you have it. You've been listening to the Chat Cave here on McGTV, youtube.com/MikeMcGTV. Follow me on Twitter at MikeMcGTV. Follow the 3 Geeks over at 3geeks.ninja or on Twitter at 3geekspodcast. And it's been fun catching up with you again, Max. Now that we're stuck at home, we should probably do this more often.
Yeah, I feel a few more Chat Caves coming along. This one wasn't supposed to be that long, and I think we went for like an hour.
Yep. It is going to be an hour, so it's all good. But that's part of the fun. Same chat time, same chat channel.
Mike McGTV.